Hello students, I hope you're wild about science today because Mr. Joe and I certainly are. Today we're going to talk about the life cycles of animals. In particular, we're going to talk about the life cycles of insects.
Boy, we're in the perfect environment to look around for insects and what's going on.
Have we found any?
I think we did. Let's take a look. Mr. Randy, look at this.
What did you find, Mr. Joe?
I'm not really sure what I found, but if I dig in here a little bit, I found what looks like a cocoon.
Wow.
It's amazing.
What exactly is that?
I'm not sure, but look at
Miss
it.
Chris,
And
could you get close enough to get just hold it up with your hand so that she can see it a little better, Mr.
can you see that? Wow, that is really cool. Some kind of cocoon, is that right, Mr. Randy?
Wow, Mr. Joe, I actually do think these are insect cocoons. Come take a closer look. This is, I think it is called a bagworm cocoon. A bagworm is a kind of a moth, and this cocoon shows a wonderful adaptation. You know, moths spin cocoons, they're made out of silk, but this guy, this bagworm, has gone one step further. Not only do they have a little cocoon made out of silk that they're all snuggled inside here, but then they covered it with sticks to camouflage it to make them safer in the wintertime. So you want to know a little story?
I'd love to hear a story.
So the story is that the bagworm is a moth, and the moth lays eggs, and those eggs turn into caterpillars, just like regular old moth and a butterfly would. And the caterpillar eats leaves, and oh, well, this is evidence of them eating leaves. Look at this, Mr. Joe. They have eaten the leaves. Look at this. They've eaten big chunks of these leaves. So that's where they get their dinner. But anyway, they eat these leaves, and then they get real fat, and then they start to spin a cocoon. They cover themselves in the cocoon. And it looks like this. After about 3 or 4 weeks, the male bagflies break out of the cocoon, and they fly around. They have wings. The female never leaves the cocoon. Is that weird?
Wow.
The female never leaves the cocoon. They mate, and the female lays a bunch of eggs and then dies inside the cocoon. And so later on, right now, this thing is just filled with eggs that are going to hatch and become bagworm moth caterpillars. So the cycle starts all over again. How about that?
That is great adaptation to the environment.
That's
wow,
right.
Thank you, Mr. Randy.
You're welcome. Hi students. We just talked about the life cycle of a bagworm, but it could have been anything. We just happened to find a bagworm cocoon. We could have been talking about life cycles of butterflies, or life cycles of frogs, or life cycles of spiders. Every animal has its own life cycle, and they're all kind of different. Dogs have life cycles, and cats have life cycles. What I want to do is challenge you to think of another animal, and it could be a dog or a cat. It could be anything. It could be an animal that you've never really ever seen before, but it'd be kind of cool if it was something that you had seen. And either write down or take a picture of its life cycle, or draw pictures of its life cycle. Anyway, write down what you think a different animal's life cycle is, and send that information to your teacher on the virtual classroom and have them share it with your classmates. Some of you might know lots of different life cycles, and some of you might think this is hard, but it's actually very cool. Every animal and every plant has a life cycle. Good luck. Today we're going to talk about the life cycle of trees. How does it all start, Mr. Joe?
You know, that's amazing, Mr. Randy. If you look at this tree, it's just mammoth. And to think one time, a long time ago, It started with seeds like this.
You mean like this?
Just like that.
We dug these up from the ground under the tree, and these are called acorns, right?
Acorns, for sure.
They don't look like fresh acorns, but they're acorns.
But they're, yes. And I think you found a branch that had the
yeah.
beginning of some acorns
I
where
wanted
they're
to-
just forming.
I wanted Miss Chris to get really closely. If you can see where my finger is, this shows that the acorns are just beginning to form on this tree, and one day they'll grow up. They'll get bigger, and then they'll fall off and fall to the ground. And what happens when they fall to the ground, Mr. Joe?
If they're lucky, they fall into some good soil, and you get what you call, I think it's a seedling, like these guys. And they're little tiny trees.
Each one of these guys popped up from a different acorn.
Yeah,
look
absolutely.
at all the little seedlings around here, Mr. Joe.
It is absolutely amazing. And each one has the potential to grow into a tree as large as this.
So this life cycle of an oak tree is what?
Well, I think it starts with the seed germinating in the soil.
Right.
And then it grows into a seedling.
Right.
And then it matures
Into a great
big tree. Wow, life cycles of plants are really exciting. To think that little seed gave us this tree. Can you think of a challenge that our students can do to look at that life cycle?
I think so. So students, if you could walk around your home or maybe in a park near your house and just see if you can find a life cycle that is starting for a plant. It could be a tree like this, but I want you to look for seeds, I want you to look for seedlings, and I want you to look for the adult plants. See what you can find. If you can find something like that, it doesn't have to be a tree. If you can find something like that, draw pictures of each of the stages or take pictures and send those to your teacher in the virtual classroom so that they can be shared with the other students.